everyone! Welcome to the Jayda and Stitches show, and welcome to a crafty quick fix. Stretching a doily into a frame is really simple, and it's a really pretty way to show off a doily. Maybe you've come across a few in secondhand stores, maybe you inherited a couple, maybe you like to make them. Either way, they're a really pretty thing to hang in the window or on a wall. They're a nice little bit of decoration anywhere you want to put it, and mounting one in a hoop is really simple. To mount a doily inside an embroidery hoop or a similar round shape, it could be a wreath, it could be just a round ring, you want your doily just about before you finish it, but if it's already finished, that's okay too. I'll explain that in a moment. And you want an embroidery hoop or a circle that is at least 2.5 centimeters or an inch larger all the way around than the final diameter or circumference of your finished doily. So you want a ring that's much larger than your doily. Pair of scissors and a needle large enough that your yarn or thread can fit through it. And once you've got that together, we can get started. First, you want to finish off your doily. If you've already finished your doily, then you want to cut some thread, ideally the same thread that you had for your doily, and you want it to be able to go all the way around the circumference of your frame at least twice. A little bit more is fine. It's always better to have extra. Fasten off if you haven't already. If you did, you can attach your new length of thread to a point in your doily. And your doily may not have points, but chances are it's got edges of some sort. So this one has 12 little points. You want to identify the areas, the points, the spaces, the area that you want to have it attached at. Remember that this is going to have tension on it. So you want an even number of areas, spaces, stitches, whatever, all the way around, because there's going to be an even amount of tension on those points. If you're using an embroidery hoop, you want to take the hoops apart. You're focusing on the inside hoop, so not the outside hoop. You can put that aside for now. It's the inside hoop you want, and you're going to thread up that long tail of yarn or thread that you left on your doily or that you attached to your doily in your needle in preparation for attaching. If your doily finishes at a spot that isn't a connection point, just weave your thread to underneath those stitches and to the point that you want to connect it. So these are connection points. I have little chain to peak spaces or corner spaces in each of these 12 points, and this is the area that I'm going to be connecting my doily to my frame with. So we're going to start with one, and it's going to feel a little funny at first, so don't worry about it. What you're going to do is you're going to take your thread, wrap it around the outside of your hoop, and go through that connection point. Don't make it too tight, but don't make it too loose either. But you can adjust this in a moment. Then you're going to go around and through the next point on the next connection point on your doily. Again, don't make this too tight. And you're going to go around and through that connection point twice. So you're going to go through the connection points twice. You're going to repeat this around the hoop, through the connection point, and don't make it too tight, and then around the hoop and through the connection point again. You're going to do that twice so that you've always gone through each connection point twice. And already you can sort of see what's going to happen here. There's going to be this sort of geometric shape created every time you join around the hoop through the connection point. And this will look a little bit different depending on the shape of your doily, how many connection points you have, and what the connection points look like. So for me, I've got little points, but you might have little loops or spaces. You might even have a flat edge. If you've got a solid edging, you could technically go through all of the stitches all the way around. It'll take you a little longer, but you won't have big gaps like this. Not that there's anything wrong with that. This always kind of looks like a bit of a spider's web. You're going to keep doing this all the way around until you've joined all of your connection points in the exact same fashion to your hoop. Once you've gone all the way around, you're going to make sure that your thread doesn't want to untangle on you, but now you're going to start to tighten it up. And I basically go to each of those points and I pull gently and I tighten it up as I go all the way around. And the idea is to completely stretch out that doily. Ideally, all of those points will be touching the edge of your hoop. Now, of course, you could have used a much larger hoop. That's one that's much larger than your doily. That's okay. You'll just have sort of a little bit of a gapey, loopy bit, but there's nothing wrong with that. You just basically do this all the way around until you've tightened the whole thing up. Once you've gone around once, you can go around a second time. You want to keep tightening things up until it's as tight as either you want it or as it can go. I know that I can stretch this type of doily out until it's completely, all points have reached the edge of my hoop, because this is a stretchy pattern. I've used kind of a bit of a spider's web kind of pattern. So I know that I can keep doing this until all of my points have reached the edge of the hoop, and that's what I'm going to do. You can go around and tighten up as often as you need to until your doily is evenly stretched around the entire frame. Once you've tightened it as much as you can, or you want to, flip it over, and you're going to knot off that thread so it doesn't want to unloosen, or loosen on you, I should say. Untighten, loosen. Pick a spot on the back of your doily, preferably not your first or any of your tightening threads, because you don't want the little knot to sort of shift to the front. Pick a little loop back there on the doily, knot it a couple of times, and then if you like, you can weave that tail in underneath some of your stitches just to make it sort of disappear, and then trim anything that's left, unless you want to use it to hang your frame. So if you don't use a stretching frame, like if you haven't got the outside of an embroidery hoop, then you might want to actually use that to hang it with. It depends. So consider that before you go and weave it in, or before you chop it off, trim your threads. I'm just going to weave it in a few times, and then I'm going to trim what's left. You're all done. All that's left is to put the outer frame on if you're using an embroidery hoop. So you scooch that back on, make sure it's on there nice and snug, and then tighten it up. And then of course you can hang it from here. You can back it if you want to, but the nice thing about these doilies is that typically you want to hang them in an area that's well lit so you can sort of see through them. That's what kind of makes them look like pretty little windows or spider's nets. Spider's webs. If it's just a single ring and you don't have an outer hoop, that's fine too. If you want to cover the outside with something, wrap it with something, cover it with a bit of ribbon, you can glue ribbon to it. You can hang it any way you like. That's entirely up to you and your artistic tastes, but that is how you stretch a doily into a hoop. I hope you found this little crafty quick fix helpful, and we'll see you again soon here on the Jayda and Stitches Show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, and have a great week. Bye, guys!
Hi, everybody! Mr. and Stitches here. Thank you for watching today. Here are some of our other videos you might be interested in. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.